Today I'm working on the front basic bodice with high neck and cow collar. Starting from the top, I will measure out 1 inch for the shoulder line across to the side front. This is not required, but I marked 1 inch from the center back. From the center back shoulder line, I will begin measuring my vertical measurement. Starting with my waist, mark and connect to the side front. Next, I will measure my upper and under bust from the shoulder line. From there, I will divide my upper bust circumference by 4, then mark on my waistline. Followed by the mark, I will measure my side seam length up from the bust point. Mark and connect to center back using broken lines, even though the upper bust is already marked. Moving on to the waist circumference divided by 4, mark on waistline. Then measure the distance in between the upper bust point and the waist point. Find the midpoint. Because I used a 1 inch dart on the back, I did not add to my dart in the front. Divide by 2, which gave me 0.25 on each side. Connect the waist point to the side seam. Next, I will take my shoulder circumference divided by 4, mark, connect also on the upper bust and under bust. These points forms a square, which is referred to as the block. From there, I will use standard measurements for my neck width and length, 3 inches by 3 inches. Standard measurements is like one size fits all. Mark, connect, and curve to each point. To form the shoulder slope, I will use standard measurements and come down 1.5 inches from the shoulder line. Mark and connect the points. Back to the block. Find the midpoint of the armhole by dividing by 2. Mark, then connect to the shoulder point. Since I went in 0.25 on the back, I would go in by 0.5 in the front. I don't like my underarm hair to show too much. Mark and connect to the shoulder point, then curve to the side seam point. From the center back, find the midpoint by dividing by 2, mark, then descend down to the waistline. Go in 0.5, connect to the center back midpoint. This is the back dart. For my design, this dart will pull around as a snug fit, but not too tight. Remember, my design is a jumpsuit. This will be the last spring attire, so I decided to go pink for breast cancer awareness, which that gives me a few weeks to master this design and hit the catwalk. Onto the bust band or nipple to nipple, divided by 2, mark on center back waistline and under bust line. Connect these 2 points. This is the under bust dart midpoint line. From this line, I will use standard measurements and go down 1.5 inches. Here I will use a 1 inch dart and divide by 2, placing 0.5 on each side, then connect into the under bust point. Now before we move to the design, I will add 1 inch sewing allowance to my shoulder slope. I'm going to use an extension of 1 inch on the neck points and connect. Then around the shoulder slope point, I will curve it into the shoulder slope. Now for the cowl collar ripples. Depending on the length of your desired drip, measure from the new neck point to the desired point. Depending on the length of your desired drip, measure from the new neck point to the desired point. Then measure the distance in between. I decided to follow the design of 4 ripples, then divide distance by 4. Then curve. I tried it.